Oh, Dev Sisters sure love the TBD, don't they? Which is good because I love them too. And from the roadmap video from a few years ago, we'd have at least 5 more years of TBD content to go. That aside, part 2 of the recent update. Let's go over it since there are surprisingly a lot of things. We continue where part 1 left off, and the new recruits are taken to the Technology Development Division for their next test with Croissant. Meanwhile, Pontecampin is redesigning his test, and we get a moment of flashback. Also, I found out that his name was supposed to be pronounced this.
Une campagne.
Although I recognize all those symbols, my articulators refuse to learn from the devil that is French. So, bear with me, alright? Anyway, we learned that during the Draconic War, E&D lost a lot of personnel, and that very much traumatized Pontecampin into hyper-conservation mode, prioritizing everyone else's lives over his own, and he's still hesitant about accepting and training anyone new. Back to the TDD. The task given is to fly the timecraft one lap around the TBD's timeline. Alright, so this confirms that the TBD runs on its own timeline, sort of. Not like it's anything new. That was pretty much a given since Save the Future. I'm just gonna say it, this is just like the TVA from the Loki series. Well, Time Overseer organization storylines can only get so creative and original. This made me pause a bit since I don't know why, but I assumed the TBD would be physically located somewhere in the world, like a floating building. I suppose it would make more sense, and for confidentiality's sake, that the TBD's location be separate from any one world. Dark Fondue is not very subtly keen on making sure every single candidate would be scored high enough to pass and be hired no matter what. The cookies all finish their assessment nicely before Timekeeper pops in and have a chat with Croissant. From their conversation, it seems like sometime between Operation Time Fixers and the present, Timekeeper decided to just make it known that she's the director. Unclear as to why. Maybe it's just for convenience sake. Maybe she just wants to do it. Whatever the case, she knows what she's doing, that's for sure. She also decided to somewhat spill the beans on the big emergency that's going to happen, which scares Croissant a bit as even Timekeeper has never experienced it. She tries to console Croissant somewhat by saying, "What's meant to happen will happen. Time does what it wants after all, so don't sweat too much. Nothing too bad. Time does what it wants. Okay, miss, I manipulated countless timelines, destroying infinite amount of lives and pushed worlds to the brink of destruction for fun because I wanted to? Sure, time does what it wants. Ma'am, you are time. You are the one time god here." Sure, she's still unable to escape the fates brought about by time on occasions, but still, whatever. On to the final, quote-unquote, assessment at E&D, and Pontecampin is expectedly strict on the requirements. The candidates go out to a test timeline specially made by the TBD. Pontecampin couldn't really sit back and observe since Timekeeper rigged the test and put everyone else in danger. And he had no choice but to jump in response to all the screaming for help. From the looks of it, Timekeeper was more so testing Pontecampin than the actual recruits. His weakness lies in the fact that he cares too much about others, and that could lead to him putting his individual colleagues over the organization as a whole. And for something as important as the TBD, that cannot stand. He then declared that everyone failed and no one is fit for E&D. Dark Fondue tries to reason with him and get him to see his own flaws, but that went as well as expected, with him not only defending his view but also calling Dark Fondue a cold-hearted, calculative cookie who sees nothing but numbers on a sheet of paper. Naturally, with no real resolution, the training proceeded as usual. After that whole bum of a mess, the new recruits are given one last extra assessment in the Time Investigation Division. The task this time is to simulate a criminal cap with a clock rabbit. Though, the rabbit is awfully ominous. The field chosen for this test is a time period with few cookies to minimize trouble. At least that's what they hoped. The second they captured it, the rabbit did what rabbits do best exponential growth. And they start eating the timeline. Shrinkamee tries and fails to capture the original rabbit, and before they know it, the timeline starts falling apart. Maybe they shouldn't have done this in a real timeline, hmm? Just as everyone is freaking out, TPD personnel rolled up and prevented what can only be described as a near doomsday event. Alright, this wasn't pure luck though, as it was Dark Fondue who alerted them ahead of time. The problem is resolved. Dark Fondue and Ponticampen made peace, with the latter finally accepting to trust others and taking some of the new hires in. Oh, and the rabbit was Timekeeper's doing, because of course she tampered with the test. The new recruits settle into their assigned divisions, everything is wrapped up, and it's business as usual. Yeah, that didn't last very long. Well, did anyone actually expect something else? Okay, but why would ya? Something big is coming. Timeline splitting, Timekeeper speaking in riddles. It's definitely the Kingdom White Lily's doing. But how bad could it possibly be over there? Oh shit. We are so fucked. It'd be interesting to see how they get themselves out of this one. Surely it can only get as bad as Longan Dragon. But surely things will be just fine. It's not like Timekeeper is unprepared. The only time something did happen and she stood by the sidelines, it all resolved by itself without her intervention. Keyword, the TBD as it stands. So, a solution would be to build a stronger TBD to be prepared for greater scale matters. If they are going to bring Kingdom Juice into this one, I swear to God, if they alter her story, I'm gonna lose it. Alright, that's enough rambling. Like I said, amazing story out of 10. I love the TBD, no questions asked. Ponticampen is genuinely a very interesting character. Rough on the outside, but compassionate on the inside. And that itself was his weak point. And the journey it took for him to finally develop his character. Ah, it was so sweet. Compared to 5 years ago, I doubt anyone could imagine the TBD would become something so big and so incredible. Surely, just like me, a lot of folks are looking forward to what the future has in store. That has been my opinion, and I'd like to hear yours. What did you think about this story? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye bye!